Hi, Mono from the Tokyo Game Life podcast here. Here are my predictions for the upcoming September Direct that, is probably going to happen. That's it. That's the premise for the video, so let's get started. A remake of Fire Emblem 4 is coming next year. You might think, didn't we just get a Fire Emblem? Well, we're getting another one. Reports said that Fire Emblem Engage had been finished for quite a while, so the next FE title is likely sooner than we think. Fire Emblem 4 has been rumored. I'm honestly not sure if this is just process of elimination, since 1, 2, and 3 have been remade, but it does make sense, right? It never came to the West, so it is practically a brand new title, similar to Fire Emblem Echoes. Plus, it is a highly regarded Fire Emblem game by fans, and has a child system somewhat similar to the one in the 3DS titles. People loved that system in Awakening, not so much in Fates, but I do think reintroducing that concept to the Switch audience could get some eyes on the game. A remake is a great way to reuse the assets they've already created, and is a perfect late in the life of a system type of title. You don't want to debut on Switch 2 with a remake, right? Perhaps Intelligent Systems is fairly hands-off with this title, and instead somebody like Koei Tecmo is handling most of the development work. Who is the artist going to be, though? I don't see Mika Picasso returning so soon, and I'm not sure they would want to wildly reinvent the designs for a remake. Hidari did Echoes on 3DS, so I'd love to see that artist return, since his art was true to the original designs of the game, but also updated to make them seem a bit more modern. Now a hard pivot to the safest prediction ever, more Mario. WarioWare Move It, Super Mario RPG, and Super Mario Bros. Wonder will be getting new trailers. I can see them detailing the modes in Move It or emphasizing the amount of content it has, since Get It Together was pretty light on that front. You do kind of want to go in blind with the minigames though, especially the ones that reference Nintendo titles. We haven't seen a whole lot of the 4-player gameplay, so that could be the focus of the trailer. Super Mario RPG, I expect it to be a very straightforward remake, similar to Link's Awakening if you will. It might have some small new mode or extra story, but the game seems to be heavily emphasizing the faithfulness to the original title. I can see a typical gameplay primer though, since it is a brand new game for millions of Switch owners. Hey, Link and Samus are going to be in the game, right? It'll be fun to see those models in HD. Link's design is brown-haired Zelda 1 Link, so I wonder if that will be changed at all, at least to make him blonde. And the biggest Mario game this year, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. You might think, hey, wasn't there a big direct about that game not too long ago? Yes, but I do think we will see it again. Last year we got an August Splatoon 3 direct, but a short Splatoon trailer still showed up in the September direct. I expect something similar here, maybe akin to a launch trailer, despite the game being still a month away. Is there still one big twist, or one big thing we haven't seen yet, that they're holding back on? Maybe, but the game already looks incredibly exciting and ambitious, so a straightforward trailer showing off more of the Wonder mechanics and the badges would be enough. Hey, did you remember that Luigi and Peach are getting games? Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is getting an HD remaster next year. Here's my big prediction for that game. They add Gooigi. Believe it or not, Gooigi didn't debut in Luigi's Mansion 3, but instead the 3DS remake of Luigi's Mansion 1, 1 year before 3 came out. So it would make sense for Gooigi to also appear in Dark Moon. The co-op in 3 was great, so I can see them focusing on that a bit more for this remaster. The Peach game, I don't think we will see a whole lot, but we might get a real proper trailer. They're probably going to hold off until January or February to really do a deep dive in the game if it's a late Q1 or early Q2 title. For other first-party titles, looking at what Nintendo's EPD studios are working on, many just put out a game. There's not a whole lot of gaps. EPD7, who works on Metroid and Rhythm Heaven, haven't been credited on a game since 2021. Their newest title must be out soon, and I have to guess it is either a new Rhythm Heaven or Tomodachi Life. Both are casual-friendly titles that could fit into, say, a holiday slot in December. We have no announced game for December yet, and in the past, they've put out some smaller, casual titles in this time frame, like Big Brain Academy. Tomodachi Life sold nearly 7 million copies on 3DS, so it is a bit baffling that we haven't seen a Switch version, especially with the success of Animal Crossing and the positive reception to the wild Mii Maker in Miitopia. This and Nintendogs are easy 5 million sellers in my mind, and Nintendo is just sitting on them. Rhythm Heaven might have a bigger shot though, since those titles are more frequent, believe it or not. Maybe they just port Megamix to the Switch? That's a safe move and not an impossibility. But I think fans want a brand new game. EPD8, the 3D Mario team. also hasn't had a project since the 3D World port. But I think it's safe to say that they are working hard on the next 3D Mario title for the Switch's successor. Teams like this and the Zelda team are likely looking ahead at the next platform instead of filling out the Switch's calendar. We recently got news that there will be no Zelda DLC, but there is game data for gold enemies in Tears of the Kingdom, so I think a free Master Mode update or something similar to that is not out of the question. Maybe a small update to coincide with the new amiibos. Not under Nintendo directly, but what is Grezzo working on? They put out Jet Dragons for Apple Arcade, but their last Switch title was in 2021. Are they actually working on Super Mario RPG? Nothing's been said yet, but if they aren't working on Super Mario RPG, they could be working on another remake or remaster. They worked on Miitopia, so maybe they could also be co-developing a Switch Tomodachi Life. I just think it would be so weird not to put out a Tomodachi Life game on the Switch. Kirby, he will probably be here. Maybe some eShop title that suddenly comes out in 2 weeks, but something I think is likely is a remaster of one of the 3DS titles. I'm leaning towards Robobot, since that one is highly regarded and also a bit more distinct than Triple Deluxe. Epic Yarn also got a fairly out-of-nowhere remaster on the 3DS, and Kirby is always the harbinger of the end of a console's life, so he would definitely pop up at least one more time before the Switch calls it quits. Though, watch a Planet Robobot remaster come out on the Switch in like 2027. I do think we will see another random 3DS upres similar to Dark Moon come out on the Switch before the Switch 2 comes out. Okay, I gotta mention the Pyoro stuff, right? He's a noted leaker who got all the info right on the June Direct, and he's been tweeting stuff about the upcoming Direct. He's hinted at the following: F-Zero 99, a new Mario vs. DK game with the minis, and a remake of the adventure game, Another Code. If he said more than that, well, I recorded this before those tweets. All these announcements are a bit bewildering, to say the least. Honestly, not sure what I can say until I see them. All have big, we're in the twilight days of the Switch type of vibes. Just get anything out there. I am thinking we could still get a port of F-Zero GX, a $30 HD upres of F-Zero similar to the GameCube Pikmin games. They could go a bit beyond and even add the AX content into the game, so think of it like a super version of both the arcade and GameCube titles. It would be an effective shadow drop that would get people talking. But F-Zero 99 and F-Zero GX so close to each other, would it be possible? Is F-Zero 99 going to get people to buy GX? And I might as well say it, will Metroid Prime 4 appear? Honestly, I do think there is a chance, especially since it's unlikely they close with Wonder. If it is going to be a cross-gen title like many assume, meaning it's coming out next fall or winter, why not show something and then just have the date 2024 at the end? That would appease a ton of people. But do you want to show off a theoretical Switch 2 game this early? I know they did that with Breath of the Wild, but when we saw that, it was a Wii U only title. If they show off a single screen from Metroid Prime 4, people are going to make a ton of assumptions about the power of Switch 2, even if they make it clear that Prime 4 is also coming to Switch. Though maybe that's just a huge jump to conclusions for the audience, and Metroid Prime 4 is actually a Switch-only title that comes out next summer or whatever. But I wouldn't be shocked if Prime 4 appears here. Splatoon 3 Side Order, hey, this is coming out, right? We saw nothing about it in the June Direct, but I do believe it is still this year. They are already selling download cards for it in Japan, so I doubt it slips to 2024. Octo released about a year after Splatoon 2. I expected a September release for Side Order, but that seems unlikely. But an October or maybe December release is possible. If it's as good as Octo, Side Order is a legit Game of the Year contender. I think people are vastly underestimating this DLC. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up on my top 5 when 2023 is done, and it's been a very competitive year. Other Nintendo DLC, we still have one more wave of Mario Kart DLC left. There's no real tracks I'm dying for since a ton of my favorites already got into the game, but I want to see Diddy Kong. They gotta add him, right? Pauline would also be another excellent addition. The Booster Course Pass, seriously, what a great piece of DLC. It truly exceeded my expectations, and I always love jumping back into Mario Kart when a new batch of tracks drops. Third-party games are always a bit tricky to predict. Last year we saw Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star and Oddballers. Did any of you guess those? My big third-party prediction is a Final Fantasy Tactics remaster. This has been heavily rumored, and it was in the Nvidia leak from a while ago, I'm honestly surprised it hasn't been announced yet, but I do think it's coming soon. I'm guessing it is a first half of 2024 title. Square released Tactics Ogre Reborn last November, and I feel like it had a lot of competition, so releasing it in Q1 might be safer for Square. They changed quite a lot in the Tactics Ogre remaster, and I expect this one to be more than just a straight port of War of the Lions. Maybe they'll put in Clive from Final Fantasy XVI. He seems like he'd fit. They put in Cloud, they put in Balthier, why not Clive? I am debating whether or not I put Clive in the thumbnail of this video solely because I mentioned him here, so if I did, that's why, and if I didn't, well, I chickened out. Here's another third-party swing. Momotaro Dentetsu World will get localized for the West. If you don't know, Momotaro Dentetsu is a long-running board/party game franchise that has been Japan exclusive since the 90s. The first title on Switch sold over 4 million copies in Japan alone, making it one of the highest-selling games in Japanese history. Perhaps Konami's highest-selling game in the country. It was that big of a hit. I expect the new game, out this November in Japan, to do quite well, and I think Konami might take this opportunity to localize it for the West. Changing the setting of the game from Japan to the world might be a big hint, and it's an excellent opportunity to grab the casual market in the States. This might be too risky for Konami though, since they've mostly been focused on ports and remasters, but I would love to see this franchise finally come out in the West. A worldwide release? That might be a bit unlikely, since they haven't really said anything yet, and they may want to spend the extra time localizing it, but I still think a Western release for Momotaro isn't off the table. Another fun localization would be Mameda no Bakeru, the newest game from Goodfeel. It's a very Goemon-inspired action platformer, and considering Goodfeel's relationship with Nintendo, you'd think they would put some effort into bringing this game over to the West. There's probably also some old JRPG that hasn't hit the Switch yet that will be announced. Evolution Worlds? There, I'll guess Evolution Worlds is coming to Switch. Or how about Radiata Stories? Square's been cranking out remasters of everything that's not FFT or Xenogears. So that's got to come out eventually, right? I'd like to see a Lunar Collection, to be honest. Can I will that into existence? Lufia? If I just say every JRPG, I'll eventually be right. Indie games. Again, pretty much impossible to predict. Party Animals on Switch? Sure, let's go with that. Silksong? Okay, I'm going to put my neck out there. It's going to appear in the Nintendo Direct. I can feel it. Date? Who knows? But I am thinking it pops up here. One indie game I would like to see appear is Wildermyth, a story-heavy tactical RPG. The devs have confirmed it is coming to Switch, but it is a bit difficult to port due to the original code base. But it has to show up eventually, right? Well, right or wrong, I hope you enjoyed the video. I host a podcast called Tokyo Game Life, which focuses on Nintendo and gaming culture in Japan's capital. I talk about gaming-related places to visit in Tokyo with amazing guests, or highlight some unique gaming cultural element in Japan. It's right here on YouTube or on all podcast platforms, so check out Tokyo Game Life. See you next time. Matane!